Hello, fictional. Welcome to the What If Issei. Today we are gonna see what if Issei had ultimate gacha system. Part 8. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. A few hours later, Issei made the pills he promised Yizong and Yishu. Issei was producing over 1,000 pills every few minutes as he created over a dozen duplicates of himself. Yang Xin saw this and was amazed at Issei's ability. Once Issei was done with the pill creation, he placed all the pills in a container and sent them into a storage ring. Soul assembling pills, soul nurturing pills, soul concentration pills, and soul tempering pills. Issei made tens of thousands of each pill. This wasn't something a typical grandmaster is capable of. Such a versatile ability, Yang Xin said. If she could duplicate herself, she would be able to learn more with less time. With it, she would be able to learn alchemy at a rapid pace. Is there a way for me to learn such ability? Unfortunately, the images of icon isn't something you'll be able to learn, but I'll see about you learning similar ability, Issei said. Mystic arts are something anyone can learn, but that's only if you live in a world where the power originated and can only be used there, making Issei special. With his magic talent god, all his spells are turned into true magic. Hence, he can use it without borrowing power from extra-dimensional beings such as the Vishanti. While Yang Xin was staring at Issei, she also felt the presence of Ninger. Don't you have classes in the Holy Orchid Institute? Yang Xin asked Ninger. With a little girl's age, she should still be a student. Aren't you heading to school? It should have started a few hours ago. Classes are cancelled until further notice, Ninger said. That's why she was in the room of Issei cultivating. Soon, she would reach silver rank. And I don't want to head home and deal with the elders. They're annoying. In the black spring below the ravine of the Heavenly Fate Plateau, Rainer was exploring the place and killing any demonic beast that dared to attack her. At the end of the swamp, Rainer saw a mountain wall, but it looked suspicious. Inspecting the wall, Rainer realized that it was a door. However, no matter how Rainer looked, she couldn't find a way to open it. So, she gave up and headed back to the top of the mountain. After a few minutes of resting and eating Kong-e, Rainer decided to head back to Glory City and cuddle with Issei. She also wants Issei to look at the mountain wall, which is actually a door, and see if he can open it. It was frustrating for Rainer not to be able to open the mountain wall door, but even with super strength of the white tiger, it still wouldn't budge. Hence, she requires Issei's help. Rainer was quite sad about this as she wanted to bring back a gift if she found something interesting, but it couldn't be helped. The only thing she found interesting in her exploration was the mountain door that she couldn't open. Why did it have to be this way? Rainer said. She was returning to Glory City without bringing Issei a gift. Damn it. I wanted to give him a gift, but nothing was interesting around. Issei's given me so much and I haven't done much for him. TSK. Now, I have to go back with nothing. Rainer felt ejected. She flew back to Glory City. As for Issei, he was watching Yang Xin and Ninger cultivating. After 60 tries, Yang Xin had exhausted herself by making a few pills. As for Ninger, Issei can tell that she is now showing affection toward him, but he can't reciprocate it yet. If the user wants to let Ninger grow up, there is a way. In the gacha shop, look for the martial arts practice card. Usually, it would have an anti-aging effect, but you can request it be removed since you want her to age. Plus, it can help Ninger with training. Wait, I knew of the martial arts practice card. Isn't that the one they have to stay in a special space that would help them train? Issei said. He saw it in the shop long ago, but he never needed it. To think that he could have used it this way to help Ninger grow older is brilliant. That's good, but wouldn't Ninger be burdened of staying in a space alone? Not to worry, the martial arts practice card has an enlightenment effect. The years that she stays inside would only feel like a few days. Isn't that great? You wouldn't have to wait a few years for Ninger. That's good and all, but wouldn't Ninger still have the mind of 13 years old? Issei said. Although Ninger might be older, her thought process is as important as her physical age. I don't want to date an adult that is still technically a child. User, are you not reading my messages correctly? The martial arts practice card has an enlightenment effect. That isn't limited to martial arts. Enlightenment is a state of mind. That would mean her thoughts are going to grow along with her physical body. That makes more sense, Issei said. He sighed a breath of relief. Okay, system. Open the shop for me and refresh the list as many times as possible until the martial arts practice card is available. The gacha system refreshed the list over 1,000 times before the martial arts practice card appeared. It cost Issei 1 million credits for him to find the card he wanted. Ultimate gacha shop function, credits. 682,471,800. Refresh list. Credit 1000. Martial arts practice 5 years epic 1 million. 9-5 legendary break legendary 10 million. Blue like morning sky flame mythical 100 million. Divine phaseless fruit demigod 1 billion. Temporal demon spirit book god 10 billion. System, purchase the martial arts practice, blue like morning sky flame and 9-5 legendary brick. I don't know what that brick is, but it's quite intriguing to see it ranked at legendary, Issei said. The martial arts practice was for Ninger, the blue like morning sky flame, if for Yang Xin as a Kanator in alchemy, and the 9-5 legendary brick was for Issei due to his curiosity. How much credit do I have remaining after all the goods are bought? Purchasing, martial arts practice 5 years epic, blue like morning sky flame mythical, and 9-5 legendary brick legendary. Remaining credit. 471,800. I'm supposed to be saving credits for Mirror World, but I can help but buy all this useful stuff, well, mostly useful stuff. I still don't know what the 9-5 legendary brick is, Issei said. He then took out the card for the brick and activated it. It was indeed a brick. However, reading the description was insane. Holy damn. As long as I hit the opponent in the head with this brick, it's a guaranteed knockout. Issei was laughing like a maniac. This was a perfect weapon for his parents. If there are devils or other supernatural people that want to hurt them, all they have to do is hit them on the head once, and the fight is over. The brick is good, but Issei wanted to change its look. So, he used heaven flames of transmogrification to change the brick into a bat. This is a weapon that Issei's father is familiar with. Later at night, Rainer arrived back in Glory City. When she went to the Red Leaf Inn, Issei spoke with 2 people. They were Yishu and Yizong. Issei was handing them storage rings that contained the pills that he concocted. When the 2 men left, Rainer entered the room. Issei. I missed you. Rainer shouted as she hugged Issei. It's only a few days, but she missed Issei quite a lot. That's why she was dejected, not being able to get Issei a gift. It's so nice to be able to hug you again. You were only gone for 2 days and 1 night, Issei said. He was caressing Rainer's cheeks as she looked at Issei with a smile. Did you really miss me that much? I did. I even wanted to bring you a gift, but nothing was interesting. So, I didn't get to bring you anything, Rainer said. This made her mood dampen a bit. But Issei kissed her, and Rainer's mood became cheery again. Although, I found an interesting place. Rainer told Issei about finding a settlement on top of a mountain, but that's not the interesting part. At the foot of the mountain within a ravine, there was a swamp, and at the end of it, a mountain wall door was waiting. That's quite interesting, Issei said. There was no reason for something like that to be for no reason. This piqued Issei's curiosity. Let's head there in a few days with Ninger and Yang Xin, but I need them to reach silver rank first to train in the Heaven's Path Golden Body and the other arts they chose. Rainer nodded at Issei. She was truly curious about the mountain door. Rainer thought Issei might have to prepare for a few days before heading there. But Issei's curiosity made him decide to head there as soon as possible. By the way, who were the 2 men that were just here? Rainer asked. The 2 men looked like dignified people, which would mean a noble in this world. I don't think I've seen them before around here. They are the city lord and his attendant. I think the old man was an attendant, Issei said. He was unsure about their relationship, but they looked pretty close, like family. Anyway, they were just here to take the pills I made for them. What kind of pills? Is it the Genki gathering pills? Rainer asked. Are those even useful for them? I thought the Genki gathering pills are meant for the Heaven's Path cultivation manual. It's not Genki gathering pills. I wouldn't give such high-ranking pills to anyone but people I have a close relationship with, Issei said. The different soul-enhancing pills that Issei made for the city lord are low-ranking pills, worthless to someone like Yang Xin and Ninger. Otherwise, Issei wouldn't give such an item for free. The ones I gave are soul-assembling pills, soul-nurturing pills, soul-concentration pills, and soul-tempering pills. Among the hierarchy of pills, they are nothing but garbage. Those pills are only helpful for people to reach the so-called legend rank. I don't understand, Rainer said. Why would Issei even give them something in the first place? Why even give them anything in the first place? I know that's not your style. Ah ha ha. That's because I destroyed one of the major families of Glory City. Due to that, the city is now weaker, Issei said. Rainer was still confused. I know what you're thinking. But the answer to your question is simple. In a few months, this city will be invaded by a demonic beast. That's right. The real reason why Issei gave the pills to the city lord is that he didn't want to be the cause of the city's downfall. Killing one of the major families responsible for the protection of the city weakened the defenses. Issei didn't want to be the reason for the city's destruction because of his action. True, Issei can just destroy the demonic beast horde that was forming due to the ascension of demonic beast to the legend rank and gaining divine wisdom. But why would he do that? He gains nothing from it. This was something the city had been dealing with for a long time. Geez. Was it because they messed with you? Rainer asked. She remembered Issei saying when they first arrived in the world that if someone messed with him, he would show no mercy. So, seeing Issei nod at her question, all she could do was sigh. Well, that's their problem. They brought their downfall on themselves. By the way, Rainer. I need you to test something for me, Issei said. He then gave a baseball bat to Rainer. This was the 9-5 legendary brick that he changed. I want you to tap my head with this bat. Huh? Why would I do that? Rainer said. She was confused. The bat looked ordinary. What would a light tap do to Issei? You're weird, oh my god. Could it be you're into that kind of stuff? I'm not a masochist, Issei said. He already knew what Rainer was thinking. I just wanted to test out the effectiveness of the bat. According to the information I have, a light tap from the bat should knock me out for a minute. Rainer nodded at Issei and lightly bonked him with the bat. Immediately, Issei lost consciousness, but within a few seconds, he awoke before falling to the ground. The 9-5 legendary brick was an insane item. It was able to knock someone like him for a few seconds. It would really knock them out for 1 minute if it was someone else. What the hell is this thing? Rainer said. She saw it. It made Issei lose consciousness with a light tap on the head for a moment. I've seen how strong you are. But this bat was able to knock you out for a moment. This is really a treasure worthy of giving to my parents, Issei said. With the 9-5 legendary bat, they can easily knock out their opponent. Of course, Issei would also let them cultivate the Heaven's Path cultivation manual, but they would probably only try the initial stage, since they don't like fighting. Getting this was worth it. I wonder. If I had this, would I have been able to knock out the biblical god with a single bonk in the head? Rainer asked. Sure, she knows that Issei was strong, but not to what extent. However, she has an inkling as Issei was able to pressure Surzich's Lucifer. Hehehe. If someone as strong as Issei was knocked out for a moment, then it would be possible. Too bad that he's already dead. It would have been fun to prank the old man. Imagine bonking him in the head, stripping him and tossing him in front of a crowded church for all to see. Ha ha ha. Issei raised an eyebrow as he watched Rainer make fun of the dead god. He sighed and let her be. Suddenly, Issei felt two people break through. Only two people can cause such a surge of divine Genki. Ninger and Yang Xin both broke through to silver rank. Good. With that, they would be able to learn Heaven's Path Golden Body and some of the Heaven's Path arts. Ninger and Yang Xin arrived at the Red Leaf Inn the following morning. As expected, they achieved silver rank. This made Issei smile. Why? Because now that they are silver rank, Issei can let them cultivate the Heaven's Path art such as sword art, fist art, sword art, golden body, etc. Congratulations. You both achieved silver rank in less than a week. That's very impressive, Issei said with a smile. Even Rainer was smiling. Not because Ninger and Yang Xin became silver rank, but because she can tell that the two women have affection for Issei. Although Rainer was a bit peeved since Xiao Ninger was relatively young. Now that you both are silver rank, you get to cultivate some of the Heaven's Path arts. Now choose wisely. Ninger and Yang Xin looked through the manuals, and they made their decision. Ninger chose Heaven's Path spear art, and Yang Xin chose Heaven's Path sword art. And lastly, Issei also gave them copies of Heaven's Path golden body and Heaven's Path movement art. However, Issei made sure to warn the two women they are not to use the Heaven's Path movement art until they at least cultivate the Heaven's Path golden body, or else they would risk harming their bodies due to the strain of the movement technique that is akin to teleportation. Isn't this too much? Yang Xin said. All the techniques that Issei gave them were top-notch. Nothing in Glory City can match it. Yang Xin even hypothesized that nothing in the world can compare them. Are you really giving us these techniques? Of course. Yang Xin, you're my student, and Ninger, you're my friend, Issei said. He was still smiling at them. These things are nothing much for me. Plus, since you're both at silver rank, your cultivation has slowed down tremendously due to a lack of heaven and earth energy. I'll bring you somewhere that can assist you with cultivation later. Looking at Issei, Yang Xin's heart skipped a beat. The young man before her was unlike anyone she's met before. Even if she was his student, the things given to her aren't something a master would willingly give. For the first time in her life, someone has captured her heart. Alas, the young man already had a woman. By the way, Ninger, since you took the Heaven's Path spear arts, that means you want to train in the way of the spear, right? And Yang Xin, you want to train in the way of the sword, right? Issei said. Ninger and Yang Xin nodded. Then give me a moment. I'll give you spear and sword techniques. Wait a moment, Ice, Ninger called. She was confused. Wasn't the Heaven's Path sword and spear art techniques? Don't we already have the spear and sword art of the Heaven's Path manual? Why do you need to give us another? You're wrong. Heaven's Path spear and sword arts aren't techniques. They are a cultivation manual to gain sword and spear intent etc. Issei said. That's right. Heaven's Path sword and spear art aren't techniques, but methods to achieve intent with their chosen weapon. That's why you'd need to train actual sword and spear techniques. Now, what type of fighter are you girls? Speed type, strength type, agility type, etc. Tell me so that I can find a proper technique for your fighting style. Do you have something that is technique-oriented? Ninger said. She wasn't one that is speed or strength type. She likes to depend on her wits. Hence, she wants something that is skill-oriented. I know that skill-orient is more challenging to master, but it's what I prefer. As for me, I would like something speed-based, Yang Xin said. She liked to finish a fight in one fell swoop rather than prolonging the fight. I like to finish a fight as soon as I can. If that's the case, then all types of techniques would go well for you. With Heaven's Path movement art, you can move as if you're teleporting. You can then combine that with whatever sword art you like, Issei said. Yang Xin understood. Thanks to the movement technique, any sword style would become a speed type. If that's the case, you can train in other styles like strength, agility, or technique base like Ninger. If that's true, can you pick one for me? I trust in your judgment, Yang Xin said. For a while now, Yang Xin has put her trust in Issei. Ever since they met, she always felt like they had a connection. If it's a technique you choose for me, I know it would be the right one. Issei was thinking. What would the perfect sword technique be for Yang Xin? She was an alchemist and was quite used to being near a fire. Plus, he plans to give her the blue like morning sky flame. So, again a fire-based technique would suit her. Looking through the divine sword knowledge god, Issei looked for a fire-based technique. After a few moments, Issei found it. Sure, it didn't really create the effect that the technique depicted, but with blue like morning sky flame, that wouldn't matter. Issei decided to transfer the knowledge of sun breathing to Yang Xin. I found the perfect technique for you, Issei said. He then touched Yang Xin on her forehead and transferred the knowledge. Yang Xin was surprised by the technique, but the sword used for the style was one she wasn't familiar with. I know what you're thinking. Don't worry, I have the weapon that the technique requires. Even if I didn't, I'd be able to forge one for you. Now that Yang Xin was done, Issei needed to think of something for Ninger. Unlike the sword techniques, Issei didn't have a library in his head for spear techniques. So, there are only two things he can do. Roll the gacha and hope for the best, or go through the shop and refresh the list as many times until he finds what he needs. System, I want you to roll the gacha for me, Issei said. For the past few days, he's been in Divine Continent. He hasn't gotten anything useful except for the Heaven's Path cultivation manual. I hope I get something useful this time. I've been getting nothing but common and uncommon items. Gacha is now rolling. Congratulations. Issei received, well bag legendary. The user may access the reward within the inventory. Shoot. I guess I didn't get what I needed. But this item is nice. It gives me an unlimited amount of water, Issei said. He was banking on the day's roll, but he still had another option. I guess I can only ask the system to search in the gacha shop. Issei asked the shop to refresh the list as much as possible until a suitable technique for Ninger was found. Along the way, Issei checked if there was any item he could save for later. Although he didn't want to, he did it anyway in case he found something helpful or unique. Unfortunately, Issei didn't save anything even after 100 refresh, as none of them caught his eye. After 100 more refresh, Issei finally found the perfect technique for Ninger. Hanryang Tile Pumba. It was not only for spears, but could also be used for swords, staff etc. The Hanryang style Pumba focuses on seemingly bending one's weapon at impossible angles. Ultimate Gacha Shop Function, Credits. 569, 471,800. Refresh List. Credit 1000. Martial Arts Practice 5 Years Epic 1 million. Hanryang Pumba Style Manual Legendary 10 million. Dominator Mythical 100 million. Our Stone Demigod 1 billion. Magic Cube God 10 billion. System, purchase Hanryang Style Pumba Manual and Martial Arts, Practice Issei said. Yang Xin and Ninger needed time to train the techniques given to them. So, the martial arts practice is suitable for both of them. System, are you sure when Yang Xin and Ninger use the martial arts practice card, it would only feel like a few days? That's correct. I have no reason to lie. It gets me nothing. Alright, please purchase the items I wanted, Issei said. He was using many of the credits that he had stored for a long time. It doesn't matter. I can just sell the useless stuff I get in the gacha for credits. Too bad, the only thing that gives a lot of credit are God Rarity and Summon. Purchasing Hanryang Style Pumba Manual and Martial Arts Practice. Purchase completed. Remaining credits. 558,471,800. Ninger, come here. This is for you. Unfortunately, I couldn't transfer the knowledge directly to your mind since I haven't trained in Hanryang Style Pumba, Issei said. He would have to let Ninger train the manual on her own. However, I hope you train in it diligently. Ninger smiled at Issei and nodded her head. Issei gave Yang Xin blue like morning sky flame. The alchemist jumped in joy as this was the first time she's gotten such a treasure. It can be used with her sun breathing, but it can also help her in alchemy. After all, the pill furnace that she's been using was Issei's and not her own. However, since she got such an item, Issei only gave her an ordinary katana as he didn't have one of excellent quality. So, he has to forge her one later. As for Ninger, Issei gave her Gadirg, one of the mythical weapons that he has on hand. Seeing this, Yang Xin was about to get jealous, but she remembered that her blue like morning sky flame was as impressive as the spear. Lastly, Issei gave Ninger and Yang Xin the martial arts practice 5 years epic. Issei explained to them the purpose of the card. Ninger and Yang Xin nodded at Issei as they understood why he gave them such a valuable item. They were traveling in a dangerous area in a few days, and he didn't want them to get hurt. As for Ninger, she thought this would help her get a more mature body when she leaves the martial arts practice base. Issei never told them that it had an anti-aging property. However, telling them was pointless as Yang Xin wouldn't feel the effect thanks to her cultivation. As for Ninger, she would be aging as usual. When Issei finished giving them everything they would need, Ninger and Yang Xin entered the martial arts practice base. Issei waited for them to return, but he didn't have to wait long. In a single moment after Ninger and Yang Xin left, they returned. Yang Xin looked no different, except for her aura. However, Ninger looked more mature, and her body became more seductive and alluring to look at. Upon seeing that Issei was gawking at her body, Ninger held her chest high. Finally, Issei was looking at her like a woman rather than a child for the first time. Ninger squeezed her fist and told herself that she would start making her move. However, it wasn't only her. Thanks to the enlightenment field of the martial arts practice base, Yang Xin realized that she had feelings for Issei. So, like Ninger, she plans to make her move on him, but not first consulting Issei's girlfriend, Rainer. The sounds of fighting can be heard. It's been a few days since Issei, Rainer, Yang Xin, and Ninger embarked on their adventure. The group could have arrived at their destination in a few hours, but Issei wanted to increase the fighting experience of Ninger and Yang Xin. Looking at the sword technique of Yang Xin, I can tell that she was able to master it in the 5 years inside the martial arts practice room. The same goes for Ninger and the Hanryang style Pumba, Issei said to Rainer. She nodded. Yang Xin was able to use her blue like morning sky flame, along with her sun breathing. Watching it was pretty breathtaking for Issei. I'm glad I chose that sword style for her. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to see such a sight. While Yang Xin looked elegant in her movement, Ninger was quite the opposite. Hanryang style Pumba is a style that is quite confusing to look at. One moment the spear tip was aimed at the hand. The next moment it would bend at an impossible angle and hit another target in the head. Nonetheless, Issei found it quite a fascinating technique. While Issei and Rainer watched Yang Xin and Ninger, Yang Xin was surrounded by 4 demonic beasts on all sides. However, Yang Xin was calm. As the demonic beast charged her on all sides, Yang Xin waited for the right moment. As the demonic beast came in range, Yang Xin spun her body horizontally and delivered a 360-degree slash and engulfed the demonic beast with her flame. This was clear blue sky of the sun breathing and the blue like morning sky flame. After getting rid of all the demonic beasts surrounding her, Yang Xin felt danger coming from behind her. A demonic beast shot a projectile, but this was pointless. Yang Xin slashed 2 consecutive horizontal slashes to block the projectile. She then inhaled a large amount of oxygen to increase blood pumping through her entire body, focusing it on her legs. She dashed forward and released it all in a vertical slash to attack the demonic beast that fired a projectile at her. This was Dancing Flash. It was a combination of thunder breathing. Thunderclap and flash with sun breathing. Dance. Thunder breathing was not available to Yang Xin on normal occasions. However, its first form was combined with sun breathing's first form, making it part of the sun breathing. That's an amazing technique. Especially when Yang Xin combined it with her blue like morning sky flame, Rainer said. She saw what the sun breathing was like without the blue like morning sky flame. The difference was like night and day with it. Rainer then looked at Ninger. Even Ninger's techniques are amazing. Ninger was fighting with demonic beast, as was Yang Xin. However, unlike Yang Xin, Ninger fought a flying demonic beast and some land-bound demonic beast. Luckily, they are nothing to Ninger. As the flying demonic beast swooped down to attack Ninger, she squeezed all the muscles in her body and swung Gadirg downwards as the demonic beast was in range. It stood no chance as it was bisected in 2. This was Raikjun. Seeing as the flying demonic beast couldn't harm Ninger, the other demonic beast attacked. Ninger didn't want to waste any more time. So, she spun Gadirg and then halted it with her hand. The power of the spin sucked in the surrounding air and then she unleashed it as a whirlwind that destroyed anything in her path. The demonic beast was ripped apart as they were caught in the whirlwind. This was Dog Seller. Well done, both of you. Issei said. Yang Xin and Ninger then approached Issei and each of his arms. Now that Ninger saw Issei's interest in her, she was no longer holding back. As for Yang Xin, since she figured out her feelings for Issei, she too is no longer holding back. Seeing the two women have Issei's arm on their breast, Rainer didn't want to be left out. So, she hugged Issei and made him feel her breast on his back. Ahem. We need to get going. We have a long way to go. Issei wasn't as dense as he was back then. He knew that Yang Xin and Ninger were interested in him, even if the system never mentioned that they were his destined partner. Their mere action of putting his arms between their cleavage was a sign that they were interested in him, as a woman wouldn't do it otherwise. 2 days later, Issei and his group arrived at the ravine at the foot of Heavenly Fate Plateau. Along the way, Ninger and Yang Xin continued fighting demonic beast. Especially when they arrived at the foot of Heavenly Fate Plateau, which consisted of demonic beast of black gold rank. As they arrived at their destination, Rainer showed Issei the mountain wall that she believed to be a door. Issei inspected it, and Rainer was right. It was indeed a door. This is quite intriguing, Issei said. He found an inscription on the ground but had no understanding of it. Meaning they wouldn't be able to open the door. I won't be able to open the door. Rainer, Yang Xin and Ninger were surprised at Issei's inability to open the door. At least in the way it's supposed to be opened, Issei said. He then put his hand on the mountain wall and detected how thick the door was. Upon completion, Issei used his eldritch portal to create an opening. There, come on. Let's see what's inside. Yang Xin and Ninger were looking at the portal that Issei created. Issei could make it with ease, something that not even a legend rank could do. I knew you'd have a way of getting in. Rainer said. She once again jumped on Issei's back and hugged him. You're the best. Going into the portal, Issei and the others saw that it was a serene and deep cave. The cave is damp. Droplets of water would fall to the ground, converge together and become a stream of water. Droplets of water were falling from the top of the cave, giving off a clear and crisp sound that echoed far into the deep cave as they hit the ground. Every step that Issei took was cautious, not for himself, but for Yang Xin Ninger. As for Rainer, she has the armor of Fafnir, most attacks aimed at her would do no harm unless the power is above A rank of the Fate system. The surrounding walls were filled with inscription patterns. If Issei ignited any of them, the others might be harmed. At the corner of the cave, something was emitting a dazzling light. Everyone took a few steps in the direction of the light. The cave was filled with some sort of purple stone. It was emitting light. Looking around the cave a bit more, Issei saw a lot of storage rings, but the ones he found were of higher quality and had more space inside. Issei took the rings and kept them in his inventory. Why? Because he wants to give it as a gift to the others back home. Storage rings didn't exist back on Earth. In the middle of this cave was a huge pond. Black-colored spring water was coming out from the top, but the pond wasn't overflowed. Looking at this pond, Issei used his fiery eye's golden pupil and saw energy in the form of a human. This is fascinating, Issei said. He then told Rainer and the others what he saw within the huge pond. What do you guys think? Should I head down there and investigate further? Wait. Wouldn't it be too dangerous to jump in the mysterious black pool? Ninger said. She knew that Issei was strong, but there was still a chance that the mysterious black pool could harm him. Why don't we test it out somehow before letting you jump in? Issei smiled at Ninger. It was quite lovely seeing someone worried about him. So, Issei patted Ninger and reassured her that he would be okay. But the moment he tried to jump into the pool, a woman suddenly appeared. It's a beautiful woman with an unparalleled appearance. She looks to be roughly around 25 or 26 years old. She has long, slender brows and clear eyes that show an indescribable sacred and pure look. However, this was nothing more than a hint of a spiritual body that is incapable of doing them harm. I've waited for several tens of thousands of years, the woman's voice was very faint and was irregularly changing. I never thought that there would finally be people arriving here. Young man, what's your name? The name's Hyoudou Issei said. He then pointed at Rainer and the others. These lovely ladies with me are Rainer, Yang Xin, and Xiaoninger. We came here because I found this place quite interesting. Can I ask who you are? I am the fire spiritual goddess, Yuyan said. She was looking at Issei and Rainer and found them intriguing as they felt different from the people of the divine continent. Yuyan's eyes then landed on Yang Xin and Ninger. Again, she was intrigued as they felt different. The energies in their body were different. Fascinating. By the way, can I ask? Issei said. He was curious why this woman's soul was not on her body. Why is your soul separated from your body? I can sense your body below the black pool. We, the spiritual gods of this world, are in control of all kinds of laws in the heavens and earth. I am in control of fire. My physical body has dissipated. My divine spark has been destroyed, becoming tiny dust clusters scattered to every corner of this world, Yuyan said. She looked at Issei, who was listening to her explanation intently. However, we, spiritual gods, are indestructible. After tens of thousands of years, my divine spark will gradually regather together and reform my physical body. That's what you're seeing in the black pool. If that's the case, I can help you with that, Issei said. The laws of heaven and earth interest Issei. But it wasn't for him as he already had the laws of time and space. No, he is interested for Rainer and the others. If you tell me more about this laws of heaven and earth and the spiritual gods, I might help you accelerate the reconstruction of your body. Alright, I'll tell you more about the laws of heaven and earth, but I already know there is nothing that can be done to accelerate the reconstruction of my body, Yuyan said. She then started explaining the spiritual gods and the laws. Spiritual gods are the gods of this world. Every main world can only have 36 spiritual gods. One subsidiary realm can only have one spiritual god. They wield one law from the heavens and earth. All spiritual gods represent the world's laws. Yuyan continued explaining the 36 types of laws of the world. But she didn't stop there. Yuyan also told Issei and the others how to cultivate the law. This was a very satisfactory explanation for Issei. Since you held the end of your bargain, I'll uphold mine, Issei said. He then dove into the black pool. Yang Xin and Ninger were worried about Issei. So, they looked at Rainer, who was not in the least bit worried. She even smiled at them. As Issei neared the body in the black pool, he spoke to the system. System, is it just me, or is her body filled with inscriptions? The user is right. Yuyan's body is filled with inscription patterns. I believe that makes up her divine spark and her spiritual body. However, if you look closely, the inscription is damaged. This inscription pattern looks like runes, Issei said. Ever since he saw the inscription pattern outside, Issei has been comparing it with runes. Do you think I can complete the inscription with runes? It is possible, but the user has no understanding of the inscription, and neither does the system. Well then, I can just do with my healing magic, Issei said. That's right, one of his healing magic is extremely powerful and is capable of healing the impossible. Divine healing. Slowly but surely, the inscription in the body was being repaired. Why? Because the broken inscription pattern can be said to be injured. Hence, divine healing was healing it. Unfortunately, this only worked because it was in a living body. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible. Incredible, he is actually able to help me, Yuyan said. But she wasn't too happy about it. My divine sparks can only be in the black spring as it slowly waits for the rest of my divine sparks to gather. That's how it was supposed to be, and I'm fine with that because once I leave, the group of pinnacle level legend rank demon beasts guarding the black spring will do all they can to stop me and destroy my physical body. I thought maybe the day my divine spark returned, they would already be dead. I didn't think someone was capable of helping me reconstruct my body. The FFT. If that's what you're worried about, it's a pointless worry, Rainer said. Pinnacle legend rank. That's nothing in the eyes of Issei. If Yuyan wanted to leave this place, no one would be able to stop her as long as she was with Issei. Pinnacle legend rank is nothing in Issei's eyes. You don't have anything to worry about. Not long later, the body of Yuyan was completed. Thank you for helping me out, but you need to leave this place, Yuyan said. Although Rainer had confidence that Issei would be able to deal with pinnacle legend rank, Yuyan didn't know if that was true. I don't want you to be caught up in my problems. I heard you speaking with Rainer. As she said, there is nothing to be worried about as long as I am here, Issei said. He smiled at the tiny Yuyan. That's right, Yuyan currently is a tiny person. Issei used his finger to rub her head. Now, I want to use this place to help the girls learn to control the laws. Issei then looked at Rainer, Yang Xin and Xiaoninger. I'll help you guys get control of the law, but I don't want you becoming a spiritual goddess. There seems to be too much restriction and you'd be tied down for no reason, Issei said. Being a spiritual god was not that great in his eyes. Too many restrictions aren't his way. Now, all of you sit down and I'll help you sense, absorb and control the laws. Yuyan looked at Issei. Sense, absorb and control the law. Yuyan was weirded out. Issei didn't even know about the laws earlier, but now, suddenly, he would be helping the others with the law. Impossible. Yuyan was about to tell Issei that the girls would first need a strong body before they could learn to absorb the law, but it was already too late. Rainer, Yang Xin and Ninger started absorbing the laws that they wanted. Rainer chose light and darkness, which represent her being a fallen angel. Yang Xin decided to absorb the law of water. Why? Because some alchemy pills would require one to have the essence of water to create. As for Ninger, she decided to choose the law of wind. This is because of her Hanrang style Pumba. A lot of the technique uses air pressure. How is this possible? Yuyan said. It took her a long time to be able to absorb the laws of heaven and earth. Yet, she just saw 3 people doing so with ease. I can't believe this. Watching this scene makes me think I wasted my life. The reason why Yang Xin and Ninger could absorb their respective chosen law is due to the Heavens Path Cultivation Manual. After all, the Heavens Path Cultivation has a fragment of the heavens. Hence, they were able to absorb law with ease. For Rainer, she was created by a god connected with the laws of light. Hence the reason why she can absorb the law of light. As for the law of darkness, that's because she has been marked as a tainted being after she became a fallen angel. Meaning that Rainer has already had a form of darkness in her. Therefore, allowing her to absorb the law of darkness with ease. Although the girls learn to sense the laws they've chosen, they still haven't absorbed enough. So, as the girls absorbed the law, Issei and Yuyan were protecting them. 20 days, that's how long Issei and Yuyan have been protecting Rainer, Yang Xin and Ninger. On this day, a loud bang was heard in the direction of the entrance to the cave. Not good, Yuyan said. The pinnacle legend rank demonic beast was here. You need to leave, now. They're coming. Relax, Issei said. He grabbed the tiny Yuyan and set her down on his shoulder. Issei then made it to the entrance with a loud bang that occurred. Let me deal with the pests. Issei then saw two demon beasts that was humanoid. One was huge with a muscular red body and the other was skinny with icy blue skin. TSK, I didn't expect your divine body to only be gathered at such a tiny degree, the skinny one said sinisterly. Scenes of him catching Yuyan's tiny body in his hand as he played with it appeared in his mind. However, that's also good. With such a small body, there'll definitely be a different taste when playing with it. Yuyan's facial expression went frosty cold. Although it's hard for her mental state to be affected anymore, these skinny ass bitch still succeeded in enraging her. Wow. Not only do you look creepy, but you also even act creepily, Issei said. He was smiling as he said those words. From here on out, I shall call you Victor Lashavsky. Ha. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll be that little girl on your shoulder. The skinny one said. He dashed towards Issei with no sense of caution, as Issei felt no different from a normal person. Boy, I'll rip you apart. Then I'll play with that little guy. The skinny man couldn't finish his sentence as he exploded when Issei punched him. The muscular man saw this and became enraged. You little shit. How dare you kill my brother? The muscular man shouted. Like an idiot, he charged at Issei. But unlike his brother, he activated his scarlet shark form. I'll kill you. Nevertheless, the outcome was the same. Even with the runes that make damaging him hard, the giant muscular man became paste in the walls of the cave. Yuyan looked at Issei with awe. Two ancient demon beasts were dead and they died from a single punch. Yuyan was worried for nothing. Issei wasn't someone she could have been able to contend with in her prime. What would two pinnacle legend ranks be able to do to the young man? Yuyan sighed and decided to think of something else. A few hours after Issei killed the two ancient demonic beasts, Rainer, Yang Xin and Ninger were done absorbing enough of their respective laws. Seeing this, Issei smiled and felt the tremendous power coming from them. However, just because they got stronger doesn't mean that they get to neglect physical training. Issei plans to make them spar with him when they get back to Earth. Yuyan, I meant to ask you this, but what are your plans? Issei asked. Yuyan was currently in no state to protect herself as she was very weak. If you don't have any plans, why don't you come to our world? That way, you'll be able to gather enough strength by the time you return to this world. When I say world, I don't mean like the subsidiary worlds of this plane of existence. I mean an entirely new world. A world? An entirely new plane of existence? Yuyan asked. She was shocked. That's a thing to be fair, she realized that they were different from the people of this world. At least for Rainer and Issei. But to think they were from a different world. That's quite shocking detail to know. However, I think I'll take you up on your offer. I have no place to go, no people I know, or even know the happening of this world due to me being unconscious for a long time. Great. We're planning to return to Earth in a few days, Issei said. He then looked at Ninger. The reason for waiting for a few days is due to Ninger wanting to show off in the evaluation exam. She wants to show her rival that she's better. Hey. It's nothing like that, Ninger said. What Issei said was true. Her rivalry with Yizine was not allowing her to leave this world until she knew that she had one-ups her. Issei sighed at this as it reminded him of Drake with Albion. I just want to know how big the gap between Yizine and me. Sure, Issei said. He was still smirking at the excuse of Ninger, making the girl blush. Issei then looked at Yuyan. Anyways, I also have a place for you to stay in that would be helpful for you. Then, maybe in a few years, you can return here and absorb the divine spark that you've lost. You do know that I've already accepted your offer. You don't have to make it sound sweeter than it already is. I'm quite curious what your world would be like, Yuyan said. Right, Issei did remember her accepting his offer. So, a few days and we head to Earth. That's right. For now, we return to Glory City, Issei said. But then, he realized. Wouldn't the laws of death and life be helpful for him? Law of life due to Avalon, and laws of death due to his aura of death. On second thought, I think I'll absorb a law as well. I already have the laws of time and space, but the laws of life and death would be helpful for me. Ooh, this should be interesting. Rainer said. When Issei does something, it would be quite a spectacle to watch. I wonder what would happen. Would there be a weird phenomenon while he absorbs the law? Or something else? Issei rolled his eye at Rainer. Did she think that he was some kind of weird freak that causes odd things to happen? Issei was going to be absorbing the laws of life and death. It would be no different from them. Nevertheless, just in case, Issei set up a barrier around the cave that would allow the law to enter, but not leave. He then made a second barrier around the 4 girls that would not allow the law to enter. Slowly, Issei sensed the laws of life and death. Gradually, he absorbed the laws. Everything was going smoothly. Nothing out of the ordinary was going on. I guess nothing extraordinary is going on, Rainer said. She was a bit peeved that nothing was happening. Issei was a man of great surprise, but this time, not so much. Too bad. I even took out my phone for nothing. I thought I might be able to Rainer couldn't finish her sentence as she and the others felt immense pressure. 2 opposing laws were gathering around Issei and were being absorbed rapidly. What is this? Yuyan said. The amount of law rushing into Issei was so much that it was filling up the entire cave. The laws are rushing into him. That's never happened before. Normally, people that absorb law would absorb those around them. But Issei doesn't have to do that. The laws are happily becoming a part of him. I've never seen anything like it. Somewhere in the 9-layered Deathlands, the death god that sealed himself after being defeated by the Lord of the Nether felt that his control over the laws of death was disappearing. No. This can't be happening. Come back. The death god said. The laws of death that he had absorbed were leaving him and heading towards Issei. Why? Because they are more attracted to Issei than they are to the death god. No. Why is this happening? Slowly, the death god was dying as the law of death left him. After a few minutes, the law of death was gone from him and he withered away. Back in the Black Spring, Issei was absorbing the laws of life and death. In just a few minutes, he gathered more of the laws than Rainer, Yang Xin, and Ninger combined. This is amazing, Yuyan said. Only a few minutes and Issei was already filled with the laws of his choice. He's a monster. Ha ha ha. I knew it, Rainer said. After a few minutes of getting used to the pressure, she was finally able to move and record the phenomenon that Issei had created. This would shock Issei when he finds out what he did. While Rainer was celebrating, something happened. The laws of death became so thick in the cave. Although the law of death wasn't entering the area around them due to the barrier that Issei made. It was so thick that merely looking at it caused them to hallucinate. Fear. That's what Rainer, Yang Xin and Xiaoninger felt. They felt fear looking at Issei. Rainer saw within the hallucination that Issei had left her. This was one of her fears, abandonment. Rainer wanted to be more than just a messenger to the people as an angel. She wanted to have an active role in helping them. But God didn't think so. Rainer rejected God's given role for her and she was abandoned and turned into a fallen angel. Suddenly, the hallucination intensified and she saw Issei ripping her wings off and calling her a disgrace to the pure angels. For Yang Xin, she hallucinated Issei being the same as her former peers in the Alchemy Association. Yang Xin was hallucinating Issei, telling her that she was nothing but a whore that would use her body to gain recognition, that she wasn't good for anything else but that. The hallucination even showed Issei choking and killing her. Lastly, Ninger was hallucinating Issei doing the same thing as her family, using her as nothing more than a pawn to elevate his status and influence. A while back, a few days after the destruction of the sacred family, Ninger thought that she was family going to be free to make her own choices, but she was wrong. As it turns out, when the sacred family was destroyed, Ninger's so-called family had already found another family to latch onto and sell her once again to gain benefits. Hence, she was hallucinating Issei doing the same because that's what she fears. But that's not the end. As soon as she was no longer of any use to Issei, she was killed by him. However, no matter how strong the hallucination they felt, they all chose the same thing. They decided to believe in Issei. Their feelings for him are not shallow, that they would falter just because they were shown some unpleasant things. To believe in that hallucination is to acknowledge their feelings for him are nothing but shallow and superficial. Issei has done so much for them. Rainer was helped by Issei when she was about to die, and Yang Xin was helped by Issei when she felt that the association was no longer a place she could go back to. And lastly, Issei helped Ninger when her family saw her as nothing more than a pawn for them to use to increase their connection and influence. Something as stupid as a hallucination won't make them falter. They chose to believe in Issei. It was then it happened. A gold ring appeared on Issei's ring finger. And in front of the 3 girls, 3 black rings appeared. Rainer, Yang Xin and Xiaoninger received the rings, which started to transform. Rainer's ring was white and black bands intertwining with a green gem in between. Yang Xin's ring was a blue and red band intertwining with each other with a dark orange gem. And for Xiaoninger, it was a red and yellow band intertwining with each other and had a barb design with a blue gem in between. Where did these rings come from? Rainer asked. The rings that changed form suddenly went into their ring fingers. Rainer tried to take hers off, but it would budge. Why won't this thing come off? Yang Xin and Ninger tried to remove theirs as well, but to no avail. Yu Yan then pointed at Issei and told the girls that a gold ring seemed to have appeared on Issei's ring finger, similar to the girls. Why would Yang Xin and Ninger receive the wedding rings when Issei's only known them for about a month now? The answer was simple. The hallucination was happening not only to Rainer, Yang Xin and Ninger, but also to Issei. Within the hallucination, Issei saw that Rainer abandoned him, Xiaoninger using him as a tool to become more influential, and Yang Xin using him as nothing more than a pastime to get what she wanted, which was weird since he didn't have these types of fear. That's right, Issei knew that the law of death was using fear to create the hallucination. After thinking about it, Issei realized that the fear he was seeing wasn't his but the people around him. Due to this, he thought of his interaction with Rainer, Yang Xin and Xiaoninger. Issei found the smile of Yang Xin mesmerizing every time she was with him and studying alchemy. Xiaoninger was the same. Interacting with her was quite pleasant, but he couldn't have feelings for her as she was only 13. As for Rainer, she was quite fun being with. Issei couldn't imagine not being with her. However, that was not all the ones that he thought about. There were also Akeno, Kaneko, Asia, Serafal, Sona, Riaz, Irina and weirdly enough, Zenobia and her strong personality and lastly, Aika and her perverted but carefree and mocking personality. Unfortunately, only Rainer, Yang Xin and Ninger were able to receive the rings as they were the ones that had solidified their feelings for Issei thanks to the law of death's hallucination. Issei didn't know this would happen. A couple of hours later, Issei was done absorbing enough laws of life and death. Issei thought. When he looked at Rainer, Yang Xin and Xiaoninger, they were wearing wedding rings. A single look is all Issei needed to know what the rings were. Issei looked at his inventory and sure enough, 4 of the rings were missing. How did you get those rings? They appeared out of nowhere when we were hallucinating. It happened after we decided that the hallucination would not make our feelings for you falter. That's when it appeared, Rainer said. She looked at her ring and smiled. I don't know where it came from, but I'm keeping it. Same. Yang Xin and Ninger said at the same time. Those rings were with me, Issei said. He then realized. The inventory showed that 4 were taken out. Issei looked at his ring finger and sure enough, he was wearing the gold ring. This made Issei smile. I guess your feelings for me cannot be any truer if those rings decided that you are worthy of wearing it. Issei then had to explain the origin of the wedding rings they were wearing and their abilities. Of course, Issei didn't tell them that he got it in the gacha. Meaning, they thought Issei entered the temple of the god and took the wedding rings. Now, although you 3 can't technically die permanently, it doesn't mean that you can just be reckless, Issei said. He then looked at the 3. He knew that someday if they thought something terrible would happen to him, they would throw themselves in harm's way to protect him. So, Issei thought of something so that they wouldn't do that. Now, if there is a chance you get killed, I will punish you. And this isn't a joke. I don't want to see you 3 get hurt. Do you understand? When speaking about punishment, only Rainer was afraid as she heard from Drake that Issei's punishments are cruel as they are tailored to the people he is punishing. Rainer whispered this in the ears of Yang Xin and Ninger. This made the duo shiver in fear. When Issei once more asked them if they understood, the 3 women nodded their heads frantically. Before returning to Glory City, Issei looked around the cave and saw that it seemed vastly different from before. Why? Because the law of life has caused plants to grow within the cave. But that's not all. In the center of the black pond, a tree has grown and is emitting a tremendous amount of life energy. That's one hell of an amazing tree, Issei said. He didn't want to leave this tree here. So, he decided to uproot it and send it to the dimensional farm. Yu Yan, Yang Xin and Ninger, who didn't know about the farm, became shocked as Issei had his own dimension. There, we can all go now. We can't yet, Yu Yan said. If she was to leave the cave, then the person chasing her would be able to sense her. I can't leave this place as Zhu Long would be able to feel my existence. There is a simple solution for that, Issei said. The person would feel Yu Yan if she was to leave the cave. But what if she disappeared to another dimension without leaving the cave? Say, the dimensional farm. If you enter my dimensional farm while inside this cave, your aura wouldn't be detected as it never left this place, right? That makes sense, Yu Yan said. Zhu Long wouldn't be able to sense her aura as it would have never left the Black Spring. This was brilliant. So? How do I enter your dimensional farm? Issei then created a portal for Yu Yan to enter the dimensional farm. Yu Yan was awestruck at what she saw and felt inside the dimensional farm. The field that she entered had countless herbs for alchemy. The air is filled with energy, and the animals are powerful beyond belief. And lastly, nature spirits were gathering the harvested crops. The nature spirits were the beings that were created by the divine tree. At first, Issei planned to let them do as they pleased, but they didn't want to be idle and pleaded with Issei to assign them work. So, he assigned them to harvest the crops and store them in the storage area. Some are told to care for the animals that have become mythical creatures, such as the unicorn, bicorn, manticore, etc. Incredible Yu Yan had no other words for the dimensional farm. This place is so rich in energy. Nothing like the outside world. Back with Issei and the others. Instead of walking or flying back to Glory City, Issei decided to create a portal directly in the room they're staying at the Red Leaf Inn. After everything that's happened, Yang Xin decided to head back home and rest for the night. Rainer did the same, and she slept in her and Issei's bed. As for Ninger, Issei told her to stay as he wanted to speak to her about them leaving soon. Issei sat Ninger in the chair in the room and spoke. Ninger, can you tell me, are you sure you want to come with us to Earth? I know that you have family here, unlike Yang Xin, Issei said. Although he asked the question, he already knew the answer. But it was best to make sure. Leaving everything behind isn't something easy. I have no family here in Glory City. I would have thought that I did a long time ago. But now, I know they're not family, Ninger said. She was tearing up. Ninger remembered the day she was in a good mood due to the destruction of the sacred family, but it was short-lived as her family has decided to sell her to another family for benefits. To the winged dragon family, all I am was a pawn, a tool to be sold. I see, Issei said. He then approached Ninger and hugged her. What is there to be reserved now? Ninger was already wearing one of his rings, which is proof of her feelings and devotion to him. You're wrong, Ninger. You have family here in Glory City, not the Divine Wind family, but Rainer and I are your family as you and I are now married. So, you're willing to accept me as your wife? Ninger asked. She knew that the wedding ring was special, but she didn't think Issei would readily accept her. Issei nodded at her question. Ninger looked at Issei, grabbed his cheeks and kissed him. She then rested her head on his chest. Then, you're my husband from this day on, and I am your wife. Before you say anything, Yang Xin and I already know about your other women. Serafal, Akeno, Kaneko, Irina, Sona and Asia were the women Rainer told us who are in love with you when Yang Xin and I spoke to her about our feelings for you. I already knew about that, Issei said. The day before they embarked on their journey to the Black Spring, Issei knew that Yang Xin and Ninger spoke to Rainer about how they felt about him. Rainer was all too happy about it. Anyways, are you heading back to the Winged Dragon family's home, or have you been living elsewhere? I've been living in the dorm of the fighter in Holy Orchid Institute, Ninger said. She didn't have anywhere to go, which was her only option. That's where I'll be heading now. Thank God. I thought you might have lived in the streets, Issei said. He would have hated himself if that was the case. Knowing the truth made him breathe a sigh of relief. Alright, the evaluation exam is happening in a few days. Once that's over, we'll leave and head to Earth. I understand, Ninger said. Issei already gave her and Yang Xin information about Earth. What Ninger heard from Issei made her excited. I can't wait to see your world. Ninger proceeded to walk to the door. But before she left, she ran towards Issei and gave him another kiss before bolting out of the room. While running, Ninger had her fingers on her lips and giggled. A few days later, it was time for the evaluation exam of the fighter class. Ninger was pumped to see the difference between her and her peers. The one she truly wants to compete with is Yizine. Although, the competition was meaningless in Issei's eyes as Ninger was already silver rank with the strength of a legend rank. Wow, there's a lot of people here, Issei said. Although he was not allowed in, he decided to allow himself entry either way. Issei wasn't going to miss this chance. Issei felt a few strong people, but nowhere near Xiao Ninger. Ninger, which is the person you're trying to one-up? Yizine, she's the one over there, Ninger said. She then pointed at a girl that is supposed to be the same age as her, but not anymore. She's the daughter of the city lord. Bizong's daughter? Issei asked. Ninger nodded. Huh? Issei didn't think that man would have a daughter. That's surprising. Nai Li, a man whose soul traversed time and space, quaked in his boots. Unlike others, he was able to feel the amount of power coming from Issei thanks to his previous life experience. To others, Issei was like a mortal without cultivation, but to Nai Li, this couldn't be any more wrong. I don't remember someone like him existing in Glory City. Could it be that I just didn't notice because I was too weak in my previous life? Nai Li thought. He then shook his head. That can't be. There are too many differences that have been happening. I think the course of history has changed. First, the purple haze grass usage has been widespread, then the destruction of the sacred family by unknown forces, and now this man. This couldn't be a coincidence. But there is nothing I can do. I'm far too weak, or fighting the Sage Emperor is one thing, but this man seems beyond that. Nai then saw that the man seemed to be involved with Ninger. Just this was enough for him to deduce that Issei was the one that destroyed the sacred family. Why? Because being close to Ninger means that Shen Fei would have offended the person. And Shen Fei isn't the smartest, as he wouldn't bother investigating someone before attacking, as he believes he is above everyone for being in the sacred family. Nai, you're here, Yi Zian said. She waved at Nai. Zaiyan, Nai said. He looked at the girl in front of him and smiled. Are you ready for the evaluation exam? I am. With everything you've helped me with, I should be able to enter the genius class, Yi Zian said. But her concentration wasn't directed 100% towards Nai, as she was looking for Xiaoninger. Have you seen Xiaoninger? I have. She seemed to be with someone, Nai said. He then pointed in Ninger's direction. Yi Zian looked in Nai's direction and saw Ninger with Issei. By the way, Zaiyan, do you know who that man is? I've never seen him before. I'm not really sure who is, but my father told me it was best not to anger him. Father and Uncle Yishu were beaten by him with ease, Yi Zian said. She remembered the time her father got home bruised and weakened that night. But that's not all. According to my father, he is also an alchemy grandmaster with a higher understanding of alchemy than the Alchemy Association president. Yi Zian then took out a pill that she's been using to cultivate. With a single glance, Nai could deduce what the pills were, but the quality was beyond even what he was capable of creating. The purity and grade of the pills were too high. Fighter apprentice class students. A teacher shouted. This person was the replacement for Shen Xiu. He was gathering all the students to get tested. The year examination for our class is starting soon. Everyone, follow me. All the fighter apprentice class students followed the teacher to the testing area. The place had a machine that looked like a punching machine, and close by was a giant crystal. Issei was pitying the maker of the machine once Ninger had her turn. The first test is the strength test, the man by the machine said. Everyone was looking at the machine he created with a weird look. This is a new invention for strength testing. A perfect combination of magic and machine. The original test with rock is too rough, and not only is the result not intuitive, but it can also probably injure the students. Instead, we took the testing stone and installed it on this scale. The man continued speaking, but no one was listening to him anymore. As for Issei, he was laughing because it's just like the game from an arcade. So, who's going first? The teacher asked. Issei had no interest in the other people of the class. He was waiting for Ninger to have her turn, but he knew that she would be going last. Why? Because she knew if she was to go early, the machine would be destroyed, and so will the soul crystal. Many people failed to reach the bronze rank in the testing, but many also achieved bronze rank. The little girl that Ninger wanted to one-up was able to cause the soul crystal to explode, which indicates above 600 soul power. But she wasn't the only one, as a man before Yi Zian also caused the soul crystal to explode. Ah ha ha. Only 13 years old and already at 5-star bronze rank. The vice principal shouted. He was laughing like a maniac. Good. She's going to be my disciple. Wait a moment, vice principal. One of the elders shouted. He wasn't going to give this chance to other people. I think I should be the one that gets her as a disciple. While the vice principal and the elder were arguing, they heard a loud boom, but this time it wasn't caused by the soul crystal exploding. The machine used to test the strength of the students was destroyed with a single hit from Ninger. Holy crap. What kind of strength does she have to destroy the machine with a single hit? One of the students shouted. Didn't you see? She only did a casual punch. That means that her strength is above what she displayed. Another student shouted. Oh damn. I wonder what her soul force is like. Another student said. Everyone was anticipating what the strength of Ninger would be. The teacher took a piece of the broken soul crystal and handed it to Ninger, who proceeded to inject divine Genki into the crystal. This caused alarms in Issei's head. He hurried toward Ninger, grabbed the crystal and threw it as high as possible. Boom. The crystal exploded, and there was a strong force all over Glory City, even after Issei threw it as high as he could. The city shook. Thankfully, only a small force of the shockwave hit Glory City. Otherwise, the city would have been devastated. You can't be serious. Her soul force did that, one of the elders said. He nearly pissed himself when he felt the power of the exploded soul crystal. Just how powerful was her soul force to create such a devastating explosion? The vice principal said. You're all neglecting something. That man was able to detect the danger before any one of us. Nay, we couldn't even realize the danger we were in. An elder said. That's right. If it wasn't for him, then we would all be dead. The force of the explosion was similar to the full power of a legend rank. The vice principal said. He still remembered back in the days of Yimo fighting to protect the city. How is that possible? Even I haven't reached that level of strength. How was Xiaoninger able to achieve it in such a short time? Nai thought. He then looked at Issei, who was standing beside Ninger. Is it because of that man? It's possible. The strength that he exhibited was beyond the legend rank. Besides that, I can feel the amount of power coming from him. Xiaoninger incredible. Could it be that she also received help from Nai? No, that can't be. Xiaoninger doesn't interact with Nai, which means it must have been that man. Yixian thought. She looked at Ninger and smiled. Ha ha ha. Xiaoninger, you'll be part of the genius class. The vice principal announced. I refuse. Ninger said. She then bowed her head before speaking once more. There is no point in me being part of the genius class as I don't plan to stay in Glory City. I'll be leaving today and going on a journey with my husband. Yixian did a spit take. Did she hear it right? Xiaoninger has a husband. Yixian wasn't the only person shocked. Many others were too. May I know who this husband of yours you speak of? The vice principal asked. He wasn't willing to let Ninger go. I'd like to see what kind of man is worthy of someone like you. Ninger pointed at Issei. The vice principal was going to say a snarky remark, but he remembered a week or two ago he was warned by the city lord not to mess with a man named Hyoudou Issei. They were even provided with a picture of him. I see the vice principal was not going to mess with a person that even the city lord wasn't willing to mess with. If that's the case, I'll have to inform your family about it. Do what you will, but the winged dragon family is no longer my family and never was. Ninger said. She will never acknowledge the winged dragon family as family. Now and forever. If that's all, I'll be taking my leave. Seeing Yixian's face when the girl saw her power was not as satisfying as she thought. However, when she told everyone that Issei was her husband, the face that Yixian made was immensely gratifying to look at. The announcement of Ninger no longer being part of the winged dragon family is one of the reasons she wanted to do the evaluation exam. Because there would be a lot of witnesses to her declaration and spread it far and wide throughout Glory City. Issei then created a portal to the room in the Red Leaf Inn. Many people were shocked that Issei could create a portal with ease. That was not something anyone could just do. But the most shocked was Nai. The man from another timeline was also incapable of doing such a thing. Once Issei and Ninger arrived at the Red Leaf Inn, Rainer and Yang Xin were waiting for their arrival. Everything was already packed and they were ready to leave. This is so exciting, Yang Xin said. She was excited to go to another world and learn its culture. Issei already told them what the world is like, but he also told them that each country has its own culture and heritage. As much as I love learning about alchemy, learning about a new culture is exciting. Oh. I can show you great places in the world, Rainer said. As someone who has traveled all over Earth, Rainer would have a lot of knowledge in that regard. I can even show you the best spot to buy clothes you can use to seduce Issei. Issei nearly did a spit take. Rainer is genuinely one of a kind. Yang Xin and Ninger were laughing at Rainer's suggestion of places to go. Anyways, it's time we leave this world. In the future, I'll return to help Yu Yan gather all her divine spark, Issei said. He then spoke to the system. System, take us back to mine and Rainer's homeworld. Dimensional travel activated. Transporting back to Draconic Dais in 3, 2, 1. End of the here. So that's it for today's video guys. Before you go, just like the video and share it with your friends. Bye.